Tua and Mike McDaniels are a perfect match together, one that was sent from heaven. Both guys had something to prove when they first came together. Tua with having questions on whether or not he could be a franchise QB at this point, and McDaniels of being a new, young and up-and-coming head coach. Not only did they prove the haters wrong, it also became obvious that they do need each other. The times Tua has been out, the Dolphins' offense has been a catastrophic failure. Today we break down exactly why Tua and McDaniels are a perfect match together, and disaster it really has been without each other. And we start with Tua going down with yet another head injury and being out for a month and a half. The Dolphins' offense this year has been one of the worst in the NFL, despite having Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Plus, the offensive line has been actually good. So let's see what Mike McDaniels has done without Tua. We start in week 3 against the Seahawks, where Tim Boyle and Skylar Thompson were the QBs in place of Tua. Both guys combined for an abysmal 186 yards, 5.8 yards per attempt, which is very low, and either completely missing throws or taking too long to get the ball out. You might be thinking Tim Boyle and Skylar Thompson suck, and you'd be right. They do suck. So the next week against the Titans, Tyler Huntley would come in as the starter. But we see a similar story against the Titans, where they would be effectively blown out by Mason Rudolph. Huntley, who is a quality backup, went 14 of 22, having a high adjusted completion rate of 80%, but coming up with only 96 yards total, 5.4 yards per attempt, 2 turnover plays, and a 2.27 average time to throw. Remember that part about Huntley having a fast time to throw. Now those are both decent defenses. How about a bad one like the Patriots? Well, things don't get much better, as Huntley would go for 18 of 31, a 69 adjusted completion, 194 yards, 6.3 yards per attempt, 3 turnover plays, an even longer time to throw in the last game with 2.72 seconds. The Dolphins would end up winning, but it was a close game the whole time. The last game before Tua was expected to come back this year was against the Colts. Colts have a very basic vanilla defense, one that pretty much everyone has been destroying, but not the Dolphins. Huntley and Boyle would both play in this game too. Boyle went 8 of 13, a pathetic 5.7 yards per attempt, 74 yards, a 72.7 adjusted completion, and 2.16 average time to throw. Huntley, on the other hand, took 3.3 seconds to throw on average, with only having 87 yards on 7 of 13 throws and a 6.7 yards per attempt. None of those QBs went over 200 yards, even together. You would expect Daniels to be able to figure out a game plan with the talent he has for at least one of those games, and he failed to do so. This was the year that cemented Tua and McDaniels being a perfect match together, with Tua being healthy for one whole season that allowed the offense to fire on all cylinders, dropping 70 points on the Broncos, going toe-to-toe with a young gunslinger. Not only that, but it put Tua in the MVP conversation. Tua led the league with 4,878 yards, throwing for 30 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. He had the second highest yards per attempt out of any quarterback. Additionally, he had the highest PFF passing grade in the NFL and throwing for 35 big-time throws. The recipients of these passes were Hill and Waddle, of course. Hill ended up having 1,861 yards, 14 touchdowns, and PFF's best graded receiver. Waddle with having respectable numbers as well, having 1,045 yards and 4 touchdowns, being PFF's 7th best graded receiver. Of course, to be able to pass the ball with a lot of success like they did, you need a good running game, and this is where I feel McDaniels deserves a lot of credit. They did have speedsters at the running back position with Achane and Mostert, with Mostert rushing for 1,045 yards, 18 touchdowns tied with Christian McCaffrey, and Devon Achane rushing for 813 yards, but a league-leading 7.5 yards per attempt, which is absolute insanity. Like Jahmyr Gibbs, McCaffrey, and Kyren Williams were in the 5 to 5.2 yards per attempt. So that tells you that either Achane is the best running back the game has ever seen, or McDaniels was absolutely cooking. Problem was that the offensive line did not run block that well though. In fact, they were below average compared to the rest of the league. So like the 49ers does with their run blocking scheme, McDaniels does something similar with a wide zone blocking scheme, which is effectively what is taking over the NFL. He also uses different formations, exotic ones, to give that extra wrinkle into the offense to make defenses hesitate just a bit more. Using the motion, everyone is a possible runner, and even Tyreek Hill. I don't know about you guys, but I love wearing hoodies. It's just what I feel comfortable in, and if I could get away with it, I would wear one every day. And through a family member, I found Comfrt hoodies. And these are some of my favorite hoodies for the price. They give that old school feeling of sweatshirts, and I just can't stop wearing it. So if you're looking for a gift this holiday for a family member or treating yourself, which you should, I recommend checking them out. I have an affiliate link in the description for them, and they got a big sale going on as well. And just to be clear, I'm not sponsored by them or getting paid by them to say this. I just really like their stuff. It's really the unique combo of attributes that Tua has that goes so well with Mike McDaniels' offense. Tua has that rare upper body twitch that allows for a fast release, which is needed for what McDaniels is trying to do with protecting the offensive line. McDaniels needs a quarterback that can not only get the ball out fast, but someone to be able to throw deep, soft bucket throws to give enough time for the receiver running the route to develop and avoid pressure that would come so quick that there wouldn't be a chance normally for that pass. I remember earlier when I said to remember Tyler Huntley's average time to throw? Well, if you forgot, it was 2.27 seconds on average to throw. Why is that important? You see, like I said earlier, McDaniels' offense needs to have someone to get the ball out quickly because of that offensive line and the scheme in general. But clearly, there's a difference between getting the ball out quickly and actually doing something with it. And we see that difference. Last year against the Cowboys in Week 16, Tua was facing an incredible feat of a defense. We know what Dan Quinn was doing with the Cowboys last year. It was one of the best pass rushes and one of the leaders in takeaways in 2023. Tua ate against this defense though. He was taking on average 2 seconds to throw, and he wasn't throwing really short either. He was averaging 7.9 yards per attempt. So what numbers did he put up? Well, 293 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 big-time throws, and 1 turnover-worthy play. This was with the run game not even being good in that game either. Now reflect back to Tyler Huntley. He went 14 of 22, having a high adjusted completion rate of 80%, but coming up with only 96 yards total, 4.4 yards per attempt, 2 turnover-worthy plays, and 2.27 seconds on average to throw. While it took McDaniels to set up Tua for success, it's clear that it's not just a plug-and-play type of system. I could just say Tua was bad without McDaniels and call it a day. But I feel that is negligence to the contribution that McDaniels has done to unlocking Tua and put him in a perfect situation. Before McDaniels, this Dolphins offense was a train wreck. At the time, Brian Flores was the head coach, and he decided in Tua's second year that it would be a great idea to have 2 offensive coordinators. This was in 2021, by the way. As for Tua himself, it isn't fair, I feel, to use his rookie season to say he needs McDaniels. And with it being his first season, he didn't play full set of games. So we looked at 2021 then, with 9 games under his belt, a new wide receiver 1 in Jalen Waddle, he had something to work with. In 2021, Tua had 2,653 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. This is with him missing 4 games as well. Tua wasn't playing badly, and he had a couple of decent games in there, but it became pretty evident that there was something missing to Tua's game. Something that Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert were having no problem doing, both lighting the league on fire with, which was big-time throws, something that Tua was just lacking in. He was also conservative in his play, and the times he did open up a bit, it just did not end well. Perhaps it was having 2 offensive coordinators, he was having a bad offensive line, and according to Pro Football Focus, it was one of the worst. Tua had a 67.3 passing grade, which is a grade determined by multiple people going through film, play-by-play, and grading every throw a quarterback makes. Nonetheless, McDaniels come in with his electrifying scheme not only helped Tua of creating more consistent opportunities to have big-time throws, but simply scheming up deep shots or having Tyreek Hill burning through the defense. With Mike McDaniels' scheme coming in, it protected the offensive line by in simple terms, making their life easier and having a scheme that gets the ball out and into their playmakers' hands as fast as possible. As most of you know already, McDaniels' scheme does come from the Kyle Shanahan lineage of coaching, which is known for doing both of those things. Now, I could have included the 2022 season with the splits of McDaniels not having Tua. However, I feel there's not much of a difference between then and what McDaniels has done in 2024 without him. And I'm not trying to bog you guys down with too much repetitive information. I think it is clear as day that Tua and McDaniels are a perfect match together. I don't think another QB could fit as perfectly as Tua does with McDaniels. And I genuinely don't believe Tua would do as well in another system with his attributes as he does with McDaniels. A match sent from heaven. You know it wasn't a perfect match in heaven? Deshaun Watson and the Browns. Besides the obvious of Watson stinks and it was all a failure, there's more to the story that you may have forgotten about. Check out the video here.